Fellas, AC here. Welcome to another review. Now today I'm going to showcase a fragrance which is absolutely wowing me. But let me start today's review by telling you a little story which just happened with me literally 2 hours ago. I just went to my normal place to collect my takeaway food, and I was collecting the food. As I was collecting the food, the person who was behind the counter, he knows me. Occasionally I go there. I'm not a big takeaway guy, but occasionally, everybody likes a treat. So he just looked at me and says, "It's you, isn't it? It's you." I said, okay. I kind of knew what he's talking about, but I pretended I didn't understand. He says, it's your cologne, isn't it?" So I started laughing. And what surprised me was his reaction. So I said, "Is it bothering you?" He said, No, it's an amazing smell. You've lit up the whole place since you walked in. I said, okay. That is some feedback, because I only had 2 sprays on my wrist and we were just chatting away. I mean, I occasionally go there. So he was like, "How are you?" and all that stuff. And then he told me, "This smells really posh and really suits me." I was like, wow, okay. It's a real cheapie. For him to call it a posh fragrance was amazing. So I thought I'll review this. And that's the motivation, because I've been wearing this. I've been rocking this. It's a bit up and down weather, a little bit warm, a little bit cold, and I thought I'll wear something which is like a green chypre, a mossy chypre. So this is what I've been rocking, and I was so surprised by his reaction. It was not the words, it was his look that told me that he smelled something which he really likes and he would like to actually own it. So I wrote it down on a piece of napkin for him, and he was very pleased. So let's start. Qaeed Al Fursan by Lattafa. It's an absolute cheapie. £14 is what I spent on this, and I've had this for about 3 months now. I've let it macerate more than 3 months. I actually got it in December, so about 4 months now. And I let it macerate. I let it mature, which basically seems to do the trick with all the Middle Eastern houses. And it seems to have done wonders. I mean, initially I loved it as well, but it's become even better now. So before we start, let's do the presentation, because a £14 fragrance shouldn't actually have presentation like this. Look at this. Qaeed Al Fursan. Beautiful presentation. Magnetic cap. But I don't think this is strong enough. I wouldn't trust it. And the most intriguing part is the bottle's cap, which is a Dior cap. This is the kind of cap you get in Dior fragrances. So there's a lot here in terms of presentation. It's a lacquer bottle, once again, but I like the embossing at the front, and I really like the magnetic cap. It gives it a really a posh feel, and that's the feedback I got today, right? You smell posh, and that stunned me. I like the fragrance. I've been enjoying this fragrance, but what stunned me was the word posh. A £14 fragrance shouldn't be called posh, and that surprised me. So let's talk about the scent. So I haven't got a blotter at the moment. It's there somewhere. I've got to dry down. I'm not going to spoil it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about the opening and the atomizer. So let's test the atomizer. It's all right. Doesn't reach my wrist. Okay. It's not the strongest, but it's a nice atomizer. Initially, I just forgot. Initially, when you spray this, it smells of overripe pineapple. Overripe. Not my favorite. But give it 5 minutes, and then you get all the beautiful notes coming through. It's very cold tonight. It's about, I don't know, what is it, 3.5 degrees? 3.5 degrees centigrade. So it's pretty cold, and what you get is this behaves beautifully now. Oh, this smell. So this is about juicy pineapple. Almost like, pouring out of a carton in the morning for a breakfast kind of thing. Very juicy. And that pineapple is coupled with a spicy note of saffron. Very interesting saffron. It's not foody, it's not gourmandy, it's not spicy as in cuisine-like or spice cabinet-like. It's a spicy note in itself, a nondescript spicy bite to it. and plays a bigger role towards the dry down of the fragrance. Fragrance has ambroxan, not mentioned in the notes breakdown. A lot of ambroxan at the moment, gunning out. So it's like pineapple and sauvage, like woody, dry, sharp ambroxan. That's probably the reason everybody smelled me when I went to collect my food. It has a very mossy green character. So, and that is Douglas fir. Very mossy, furry, like a green forest, a coniferous forest, and jasmine. Mossy green, Douglas fir, jasmine, pineapple. What does it remind you of? A green chypre or a citrus aromatic chypre? A ventis? This is not a ventis, but it's inspired by a juicy pineapple. And it makes me feel as if this is Hachivat with double the dose of testosterone. Yeah, Hachivat with Burt Reynolds kind of an attitude. That's what it reminds me of. Okay, initially. The fragrance in about 30 minutes changes character and brings in a very solid, a birchy, smoky oud and cedar. Oud and cedar, and mixed with the notes I mentioned, they create a woody, caramelly, smoky oud. Very interesting oud. Oud is the main show here, apart from the pineapple. And that oud mixed with saffron creates most of the scent signature in its dry down. So initially it's green, mossy, juicy, fruity pineapple. Dry down is a little spicy, woody, smoky, caramelly pineapple with mossy green floral character. And that's what the fragrance is. Doesn't change much, but it's beautiful. It's delightful. It's really stylish. And people really like it when they smell it on you, as I've witnessed today. So that's the scent signature. So upsides and downsides. Number one upside has to be the performance. That gentleman, he smelt me above all the food. And the dry down was already like 4 hours. So it was well past its gunning out stage, and he smelt me. So performance is the biggest upside, I would say, of this fragrance. People who like fragrances that project a lot should look into this fragrance. Number two upside, the value for money is immense. Now I'm finding out it's only £14, right? It has brilliant performance, it smells amazing, composition quality is good, doesn't smell cheap. The value for money is very high. Third one is the compliment factor. The compliment factor, the people love these sort of notes. Fruity ambroxan with smoky woods and a little spicy masculine character with a green mossy freshness to it. There's a lot here, a contrast. When their nose gets in the way of this contrast sort of melange, they can't help it. They just say, well, what is this? This is so unique. What is it? And that's the third upside. The fourth upside has to be the actual smell. It's quite a unique smell. People say that this is like Paco Rabanne XS Black, I believe. I think I've tried it, but I can't remember from scent memory. The only thing I can think of is Hachivat with more green, with more sort of masculine attitude to it. That's all I can think of. Hachivat. Masculinated, more masculine version of Hachivat. Simply put, not saying exactly the clone of Hachivat, but there's a little inspiration here. Downside. Now this one is a shapeshifter. It smells very different when it's very cold, and smells very different when it's not very cold, right? Those are the two climatic conditions I've tested it in. I've not tested it in summer. Some people say this is a very simple scent, all they get is pineapple. No way for me to find out. I'm getting a very complex scent signature. As I explained, I've got many things here and I get them every time I wear it. And that's what makes it very interesting for me. But the downside is, it may or may not work on your body chemistry. So be aware of that. But the upside is that it doesn't cost a lot of money, so it wouldn't hurt your pockets too much. The other sort of downside, if you like, is it entirely depends on your taste. For me, this is an instant love because I like complex, multi-layered scents, which are contrasts. I really like it. if you're too used to smelling sweet food-like smell, this may or may not impress you. So if you can sample it, please sample it, because this fragrance, for me, it is very interesting. I love these sort of fragrances. You may or may not like it. The complexity is there. You may or may not like the complexity. So it's not for everyone. That's the downside. Now, seasons. For me, I think this is a cold weather fragrance, which I can bring out in summer, cool evenings. I haven't tried it yet, but it just tells me this is a cold weather fragrance. There's so much oud here, so much incense and smoke here, a bit of peppery bite as well. So to my nose, this is a cold weather fragrance. Compliment factor, to my nose, I will get complimented. I just got complimented, and it's not an issue. It's not anything that will scare people off. In fact, they'll be drawn towards you because of the high curiosity factor. It's a very curious little creature. It's not like run-of-the-mill fragrances that you smell every day. Occasions, anytime during winter, anytime during autumn, and anytime during spring. I was wearing this over a suit and a shirt. I can easily wear this to a professional setting, 2 or 3 sprays. I can wear this to any other setting without even having to think about it. It's not scary. It's complex. It's unusual. It is not run-of-the-mill. It's off the league. So there's a lot of interesting facets here. And it's quite versatile. I can dress it up and dress it down. So not an issue for me. Age groups, slightly mature. I would say this is for people who are in the 30+ bracket, or have a personality or tastes that suit mature sort of palette, if you like. So 30+, the mossy character, the fur, all these characters make it a little bit mature, I would say. But if you live in a warm country and you only get pineapple, you can wear this. I think I've covered all aspects. Performance, let's cover performance, because I always forget performance. For me, this is a beast mode fragrance, right? 2 to 3 sprays will fill up this room. So projection is beast mode, but that projection calms down in about 1.5 hours. In 1.5 hours, but that guy smelled me. So I do not know. For me, this is a nice arm's length kind of a bubble with 2 sprays. If you double up the sprays, you'll probably get smelled all day with a big scent bubble. Leaves a beautiful scent trail. People look at you when you go past them. Performance easily 10 to 12 hours. Easily. You know, Lattafa hardly ever does weak fragrances. So performance is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. So how many marks am I going to give it? See, I am really impressed by this fragrance. This fragrance is unique. It has a lot of complexity. It recalls some of the fragrances I mentioned, but still does its own thing. And that is the bit that makes this fragrance very interesting. It's interesting, smells good, nicely blended, nothing cheap here. Value for money is high, highly versatile. You can wear this in any scenario. It's still very interesting fragrance, doesn't cost a lot. So I'm going to give it, I'm torn. I want to give it 9 out of 10 because these sort of fragrances are very rare. But as I said, it may happen that your body chemistry or your tastes don't align with what this fragrance does. Don't be disheartened. There are many more fragrances, but to my nose, this is a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this fragrance. It doesn't cost a lot, smells great, and you'll get a compliment. But the most important thing is, this is an interesting creation. It's not a clone. It's a very interesting fragrance. Highly enjoyable. So 9 out of 10. I'm hoping you really enjoyed the review, fellas. And if you did, do give this video a like and do subscribe if you haven't already done so. Take care. Bye-bye.